People always love the ability to create custom shapes for frames in Canva. I had a couple videos on this channel that were really popular that showed methods for doing that. You could create something, you could bring it into Canva, it would get processed, and you would maintain that frame shape. Well, now something has changed. Are Canva custom frames dead? And if you created something as a custom frame in the past, maybe you even have it as a part of a product you sell, is that going to be a problem for you? Well, we're talking about all of this inside of this video. Okay, let's jump right to the heart of this problem. Here we are inside of a Canva document, and we have two different pages in here that have this same picture in a frame. Now, if I right click on this image right here, I can detach this from a frame. So we'll detach the image and we'll throw it out. It's low res, it didn't matter because we have the frame underneath of it. And then if I come to any of my elements here, I can find a new photo. So let me just search for a photo here, and we'll just grab any of these photos and we'll see, boom, we can put it right into this frame. Frame maintains the shape, we have those hidden areas, we have this cool edge to this frame. However, let me come to another version of this, and now if I right click, watch what happens now. So I'll detach this image and then suddenly we've lost that edge. Now we just have a rectangle. So this is what is happening now. Even if you bring something in using that old method we used, we no longer get something like this, where we have the preserved frame. I can grab any image in here, it's going to keep that frame, it's going to keep those edges. We don't have that any longer. Now we have something like this, where it automatically reverts to a rectangle. Now, why are these two different? This one here is one I uploaded several months ago, maybe even years ago, where it would process it in a different way. It would maintain that vector mask area that you created in another program. It would process that in a PDF, and it would maintain the frame. Now what happens, you follow the exact same method in those other programs, and it looks like at first it works, but then when you come in here and you actually detach the image, you'll see no, it's just a rectangle underneath. Now here's a crucial part of it. This frame on this page and the frame we have on this page, they were both generated with the exact same PDF. So this version that's still working, it just so happens I uploaded that PDF, a long time ago, and so I had a version of that PDF that had been processed in here already. And then what we're seeing on this page, I started with the exact same PDF. I just uploaded it last week once this change had occurred. So this confirms that it's a new way Canva is processing PDFs. It has nothing to do with differences between these files because I started with the exact same PDF. So it's nothing on that side of things. This is something that is happening within Canva. So this is important because this is going to give you some clues as to whether any assets you have already are things that are going to be an issue for you. So let me just show you an example of what I mean. So when I was teaching this custom frame 1-minute method that I used to teach that used to work, when people signed up for a free cheat sheet to get instructions on that method, then once they signed up, they would get sent to a tripwire page, which is basically a sales page where I have an expiring item that's a low-cost item. So I would send them here to this page, and they would see this sales page. So it's got a little video of me talking about the product. It's got some visuals and stuff. So all these are custom frames in different formats that you can get for Canva. So if I have a product like this, do I have to worry about this? Well, there's one crucial factor. Now, I'm going to show you what the case is with my product, but then I'm going to show you another product or examples of other products where it's going to be different. So let's check this out. So first of all, how am I delivering this product? This is a whole bunch of different custom Canva frames that I created. Are these all going to be broken now? The answer to this comes down to how you're delivering your product. For me, when someone purchased that frame pack from me, they would get sent links to 3 different Canva templates. And so here's one of those. And so they get the template and they open this. And so open an editor, they're going to go ahead and open it. It creates a copy of that template file that I created. This is now a file that they can save off, their own Canva file. And because it's a template where I already uploaded those PDFs and they were already processed into all these custom frame shapes, because of that, now they can go in and they can add anything they want. So sometimes frames are hidden behind here, but they can come in here and they can populate this with any photos they want. So they can search up here for whatever kind of image they want and they can put it in this frame, and this frame is going to work. Okay, now I'm demonstrating this under a free account here. That's why we're seeing a watermark here. But the bottom line is all of these frames, these are all different frames in here, but they all work. They all maintain that ability to hold a photo and maintain that shape that I created. That's because I uploaded all of those to that template that's being copied by the customer way before this issue with how Canva started processing frames differently. Right? So these were all already processed. They exist as frames in Canva. So it looks like anything that's already processed is going to be maintained as a frame in Canva. Once it's a frame, it's a frame. However, some people deliver their products differently. Let's look at another example where this would be an issue for you. Here I am on Etsy, and if you search on sites like this for something like Canva custom frames, as you go down here, you're going to see a number of results. This result, here's another one, here's some other ones. So there are going to be lots of results as we scroll down here that are custom frames made for Canva. So if these products deliver the product by providing a link to a template where the PDF has already been processed before this problem occurred, before Canva changed the way they process PDFs, then it's going to be no problem. It's just going to be like my product where those frames are still going to work. However, if any of these products provide PDFs and then instructions for the user on uploading that PDF to Canva and it's going to be processed into a frame, that's going to be a problem because we've seen that doesn't work the way it used to, so you're going to lose that custom shape. It's just going to end up being a rectangle. So that's the crucial factor. If you have Canva custom frames tied up into any products, you should be fine. If it's part of something that's already in Canva that was already processed, the frame's already been processed, it's no longer a PDF. But if you have something that's a PDF and there's a step where a person has to upload that PDF, then that's going to be an issue because the PDF processing on Canva's end, that is what has changed. So anything that was uploaded before this processing problem, you should be good. You can detach image. If there's an image in the frame, you're going to still have that custom frame shape you created. However, anything you upload now after this change, if you come in here now, it looks like it's a certain shape, but you detach that image and you're stuck with a rectangle. Okay, so hopefully you have things like this where they're processed already and you don't have to worry about those. Now, of course, this still means there's currently no way to create a custom frame like this. Now, I know if you come in here under apps and you search for things like custom frame, so I'll search under app for that. There are some apps to do some custom frames where you click a point, you click another point, or image to frame. However, in my experience, these don't work great, or they give you a couple images and then it's a paid service. So I do not think these are great options. I do not think these options replace what we used to be able to do. So what are my thoughts on the current state of affairs and how you should think about this going forward? In my opinion, this is just a reason to lean more into the fact that a program like Affinity is now free, and Canva always had its limitations, and a program like Affinity is a great way to sort of extend beyond Canva to do certain things where Canva is limited. And this is one of those cases. We had to step outside of Canva anyways to create our custom frame, so why not use it now to get that same sort of functionality? Now, if you still like to create in Canva, you can go ahead and you can lay out a design like this in Canva, and then I'll show you how you could export this over into something like Affinity and finish it off in Affinity, and then also some of the advantages of Affinity where you can do things you can't do in Canva anyways, so maybe it's not the worst thing that we have to do this. So let's imagine you got this far in Canva where you have something laid out. Maybe it's going to be a slide that you're going to use various times in a presentation, so maybe it's sort of like a slide template you're creating. And so we have a heading, we have subheading, we just have some placeholder text here. And then we have a shape that we built using a rectangle. This is actually two shapes grouped together, so I'll just show you real quick. So it's a rectangle here and then this drip shape here. I'll just hit Control Z to put it back together there. So maybe this is where you want that custom frame to be. This is where you're going to have that image placeholder. Now we know we're not going to be able to create custom frames anymore, but we still have lots of options. And we were always going to use Affinity or another program to create that in the past anyways. So here's what I could do. I could take this shape here, which is actually these two elements here. So I'm just going to click both of these. So I have both of these selected. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come under here and I'm going to download this selection. And we're going to go ahead and save this as a PNG with transparency. So I'll just call this something like blob shape and save that off. And so now that I have that saved off, I'm actually going to go under my brand kit here. And I have this for Affinity section here under my assets. And I'm going to add that back in here. So we're going to go ahead and upload for Affinity. We're going to find that blob shape. Here it is. And I'm going to open it up. And we're going to save it here in this for Affinity assets. Continue upload. I think it was a little quick there. So we have it in there. Once we're uploaded, we're going to go click save. And so now we have our changes saved. Now you don't have to upload it back to a brand kit like this, but I'm going to show you why maybe you would do this. So let me jump over to Affinity now. So here in Affinity now, I can actually directly access my Canva brand kit as of the last Affinity update. That was version 3.2, the April update. So I can come in here under these three dots here just to bring up my panels and make sure that this Canva brand kits panel is turned on. That's going to let me see everything in here in my brand kit. So I'm under assets here. It's currently set to all. I want to go down and find this for Affinity section, and there it is. Here's that asset, so I can just drag it out. And so here is that item we just put in our brand kit inside of Affinity. Now I could have just downloaded this and then uploaded and placed it inside here. I could do it that way as well, but we now do have Canva brand kits synced across Affinity and Canva, so you can use it this way if you want. So now that I have something like this here, I could very easily just select this shape. So I'm just going to do a selection here where that shape is. And I'm just going to come in here and place a new file in here. So maybe I know I wanted to use a different graphic. Maybe this graphic here is what I want to appear in that area. So I'll go ahead and open that up. I'm going to place it in here, something like this. I can fool around with the sizing later. And then once I have that created here, I'm actually going to go ahead and create a mask, so a new mask here, and then I'll put both the mask and the layer that it's masking inside of a group here, just so it doesn't affect other layers. Now, if some of these things are new to you, I do have lots of tutorials on Affinity on this channel, so some of the basics are going to just take a little bit of time, but I can link my beginner series for Affinity down below in the video description, because that would be a good place for you to start. So I'm just going to create a group here, and so now since I have the group and I have the mask separated from the layer there, I can come in here and I can reposition. I can set this up however I want. So there we go, just like that. And then with everything selected, still like that, I will export this graphic. But first, let me just go under Document Setup. I'm just going to make sure we have the transparent background turned on, since we're going to want transparency behind this image. And so then I'm also going to select this blob shape, since I know that's the area that we want here. And then I'll just go File, Export. We're going to export this. We'll go ahead and export this as a PNG. Now right now it's finding the whole document. We want to come up here and do selection only, get it down to this, and actually want the selection area because I do want to pick up that other layer on top. So there we go. We have that now. And so we can export this, and we'll just call this blob image or something like that. So now we have that. So now back in Canva, I could very easily just come up here under my upload, so we can upload a file. Let's just grab that blob image. There it is, very easily. We can add that right in here. And so just like that, we can come in here and we can still work with these two programs. Even though we don't have custom frames exactly like we did in the past, we have several different workflows we can follow. So this is one of them. Now you could also just work inside of Affinity itself. Creating a presentation in Canva might make sense if you wanted to make use of all their presentation features and their automatic animation features. But if you're building out something like an ebook or something that's longer form content, you might want to do that in Affinity, specifically because of the Layout Studio. But in here, just like I mentioned before, you could access brand kits. So we could very easily drag this out onto this page. If we want it to be an element on this page, I could go ahead and resize this to whatever I want. So maybe something like that. Just going to hit Control+0 to make sure I'm centered here so I can see everything on the screen. We get guys in here that let us know we have it lined up to where we want. So I could do something like this. And then I might do the same sort of thing where I make a selection out of this, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add a mask. But then with the mask and the shape here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put those in a group like we did before. And then there are also features in here that you do not have in Canva. So there's another type of frame here within Affinity. So I'm going to come here under my Layout Studio. I'm going to come down and find this picture frame option, and I'm going to drag and create a picture frame that covers beyond where this new shape that we now have grouped and masked is going to lie. So now we have that picture frame here. I'm going to drag it down into this group so it's behind the mask. So I have this picture frame element. Now with this picture frame element, anytime you have it selected, I can just really quick come up here and add an image into this. So let's say we want this image in here. Boom, now we have this image in here. Let's say we want a different image. Okay, we can replace that image and we can grab something different. So let's grab this image. So it works just the way you could drag and drop in Canva. We're just doing it here now within Affinity. And within Affinity, you have a lot of advanced features you don't have in Canva. For example, I know I could take this picture frame layer here. I could just duplicate this layer. Now I have two versions of the picture frame. I'm going to click on this top one. Let's replace that image and put that other image back in there. So let's go ahead and put this one back in here. And now, you know what? I could come in here and I could change the blend mode. So I could be blending these two layers together. So lots of things like that. I also know we're in the layout studio here, so I could come under the pages here. Let's go ahead and let's create a new page, or actually let's duplicate this page. So now I could duplicate this so we have two pages. And let's say I want on each of these pages, I'm going to have page numbers, and I'm going to put it in a rectangle here on the bottom. Well, I could use master pages for that. So here I am going to come on master pages here. Let's add a new master page. We'll go ahead and click OK. And then on that master page, this is where we're going to drag out our rectangle shape. So we're going to put a rectangle shape down here in the bottom left. Let's give it a color. Let's make it something like something in this range here. Now I can right click, apply master to pages, go ahead and apply to whatever pages I want. We're going to go ahead and apply to all pages. Go ahead and click OK. And then if I come down here on my pages themselves, we'll see that it has this master page layer. Now this master page layer got applied to the bottom, but we'll go ahead, we'll drag it up here just so it's on the top. Make sure we find it on this page too, drag it up to the top, and we see that they both have this yellow rectangle. Well, what if I decide to change that and I go back to my master page here, and let's go ahead and change the color. Let's make the color something like pink. Well, guess what? All these pages are going to update automatically. So you have things like this where you can automatically make changes because of this master pages feature, something you sort of have now in Canva with components, but it works really smoothly here in Affinity. Now with Affinity, you can do a lot more with text. For example, this box here is a text frame. So if I just click on this here, we'll see that this is a text frame. This is also a text frame. What if I was typing content and it might end up spilling from this text box to this box on the other page? Well, in Canva, that would be a mess. But here in Affinity, if you have text frames like this, you can dynamically link them together. So I'm going to go up and find this triangle on this text box here. I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to come down and find this one right here and wait until I see that link icon. Then I'm going to click, then we'll see that line indicating these are joined together. So now if I were to come up here and start typing something, so I'm just going to hold down the one key on my keyboard, we'll watch it spill, but then we'll notice once it gets long enough here, we're going to notice it starts to spill down to that second page. So now we have text flowing from one page down to another page. So you can have text flow between text boxes like this. You can set it up any way you want. You do not have that dynamic text flow in Canva. So I could go on. I'm not going to go on. But my only point is, now that we do not have custom frames for Canva, you may be frustrated at first, but if it does force you into a little bit more of a workflow where you include Affinity in your workflow for more advanced design tasks, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because there are a lot of advanced features you do not have in Canva that you will get in a program like Affinity, or if you move to a program like Photoshop InDesign, one of the many, many programs out there. So that's it. At least for now, we've lost that ability to create custom frames like we did in past using that method of using a vector mask, saving something as a PDF, and then bringing it into Canva, and it will maintain that shape. That no longer is the case. So we are going to have to adapt. Now, maybe they'll bring that back in the future. We'll have to see. It would be nice if that gets brought back. But at least for now, you're going to have to turn to Affinity. And if you're a Canva user, this is something you need to lean into anyways, because there are a lot of areas where Canva just falls a little short for an advanced design project, and something like Affinity has more tools that you can leverage to get even more done. So even though this is disappointing, my advice to you would be to not get too discouraged. Just lean into Affinity. Learn a few skills so that you can create a custom mask in Affinity, still get the effect you want. There are going to be even more tools in Affinity to let you do more things for advanced projects. So this overall is going to be a win for you if you lean into Affinity. So custom frames, hopefully we get them back at some point in Canva, but at least for now, you're going to have to turn to another solution. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you soon.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past.